Hey, welcome to the Social Media for Real Estate Agents podcast, where we find rock stars in social media and get them to show us realtors how we can use social media to increase our business. I'm Khalid Nathan Aleem, licensed real estate agent in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and my guest today is Bryan Casella. Now, if you have been on YouTube, you can't miss any of his videos, man. He's number 10 on Property Spark's list for top 50 real estate agents on YouTube. His one YouTube channel has over 191,000 subscribers. That's his first one. He also has a second YouTube page that he just launched 2 months ago, and that already has 2,000 subscribers on it. Bryan, his Instagram has over 42,000 followers, man. In the social media space, as far as real estate agents, this guy is a rock star, man. Welcome to the podcast, Bryan.
My friend, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. You know, when I saw your shirt, I was like, man, you're more Miami than me, dude. So I need to step my game
up. Listen, man, this is my Bryan shirt. So I said, what's in my closet that I can rock, that I can make you feel at home, man? So, yeah, Bryan, we just wanted to jump into your story, man, and see how you got to this rock star level, man. I know you're affecting a lot of realtors out there, man. But what did you do before real estate?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know. I've mentioned it before, like years ago, but I don't really talk about it much. I actually was playing basketball overseas for a couple of years before I got into real estate. So I lived the life of an athlete, man. You know, high school, college, all I did was eat, sleep, breathe basketball, and my career ended because of injury. I had to pull the plug pretty early on. I was getting into my prime at about 24, 25 years old, and I stopped playing. And I spent some time with my uncle in South America. Worked with him for about a year. And then when I came back to the States at about age 25, I said, okay, I have to do something else, And that's kind of when I started messing around with different things, trying different things. I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I was going to dedicate my time and efforts into, right? So I started exploring. Then when I looked at real estate, and talking to a broker, right, and having some conversations with people, I said, man, this thing can be learned. Like I don't have connections, right? I don't even own a suit, right? Because I would only wear a suit to like a funeral, right? I said, okay, I can learn this thing, right? I can learn this thing. I see the potential, and I decided to get in it, and I just had a very old school mentality, dude. The people that trained me were very like Mike Ferry, make cold calls, go door to door, and that's what I did when I started in LA. And I just went door to door and cold called all day like an animal. And very quickly I started getting business and, getting more comfortable. And within like a year, I think I closed, what did I do? I did 13 deals my first year. And then I more than doubled it the second year, and it just took off from there.
Wow. You're actually probably the first person that I saw on YouTube with a video where you're prospecting live, and it blew my mind. It straight blew my mind. That time you wore a suit and you kind of had the camera like right there, and you were just banging out calls. And I was just like, wow, because I transitioned from, I used to work in corporate America, but I was doing Uber also. And I had a YouTube page just for ride sharing. And then when I crossed over, I'm like, okay, who can I kind of see what they're doing? And you, like I said, you were the first one that I saw. And it was like, God, man, this guy is banging out these YouTube videos. And I mean, was that something that you had did previous, or did somebody put you on to that, or how did that come about?
Well, I saw the power in video, man, before other people did. Like when I started doing video, people were making fun of me because they're like, what are you doing? This is a waste of time. It's a fad. But what I started doing was I was in the process early on of really refining my follow-up and making it better. Because, when you call people, if they can't pick up, it goes to voicemail, and people are busy. Sometimes they can't call you back unless it's like a red hot prospect. So I was thinking, how can I get in front of people for sure? Because you might not listen to the voicemail, but you'll look at a text. How can I take that to the next level? And I started sending video via text and also emailing it and embedding it in the email. Like I would embed the video into the email. So when they would open up the email, they would just click and they wouldn't have to go to a link. It would be right in the email. Mm-hmm. And between the text and the video embedded in the email, I noticed that the open rate and the response rate was 10 times higher than doing a regular follow-up call. So I said, okay, this is something I can throw in to mix things up. But more importantly, I saw the effect that it had. I said, dude, people are responding to video. Like this is, I got something here. Other people are sleeping on it. So I need to really take advantage of it. And I didn't necessarily like double down and say, okay, I'm gonna do a YouTube video every day. But right
Mhm.
away, I knew I need to incorporate video on a regular basis because of the impact that it has. And early on, even the prospects that were responding were telling me, oh, that was really interesting that you sent a video, right? Oh, you sent me that video on the importance of pricing my home before you came here for the listing appointment. That was really helpful because it got me to understand where you're getting your information from and how you're going about pricing the home. So from an educational standpoint, it was great, but also to stand out as a realtor on the business side was awesome too. And then people started flooding to me. Oh man, like you're doing the live prospecting videos. How are you doing it? And I'm like, dude, I'm just making calls. I don't know any better, right? I'm just at the time filming what I'm doing, and people are reaching out to me like crazy. So I just saw the power in it, man. And as soon as I started doing it and I saw the impact, I said, I got something here, you know?
Awesome, man. So now you have the BC team, right?
TBC, yeah. Yeah, we're in, let's see, we just expanded into Canada, but we're also in 16 states here in the US.
Okay, awesome. Now, what type of role does social media play in your business right now?
It's huge. For me personally, the amount of agent to agent referral business we get is huge, and client attraction as well. But also for the team, we market now. We have a nationwide marketing platform. Between me and all the other agents, we have hundreds of thousands of followers, right? So the engagement and the ability to get the message out, or as an example, the property that we sold pretty recently at the luxury level, I had somebody contact me from social media that they had a property just outside of Atlanta, Georgia that they wanted to sell. It was a $2 million home on like 8 acres, right? Horse property, like, I mean,
Mm.
equestrian, like the whole nine, right? And they contacted me through social media. We ended up doing a video listing the home. And through social media, before it even went live, we sold it. So it's just huge for marketing, but also for client attraction and for selling properties. There was a $4.5 million property that I sold by the beach in LA years ago through social media. I had my camera guy do a video. We did a coming soon video. We put it out. I got a ton of agents contacting me from that, and we ended up selling it off market before it ever went live. So, I mean, it's huge, not only for recruiting, but also for the business side. I mean, it's just like I tell people, if you're on TV, like the $1 Million Listing Guys, that's great. There's no better promotion than that. But the second best thing is building a platform like this, because it gives you access to people and opportunities that you otherwise just would not have unless you spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in like billboards and all these kind of
Mm.
advertising methods. But social media is free. It doesn't get any better than that, right?
Right. No, definitely facts. As far as platforms, I mean, there's a plethora of platforms out there, whether that's Instagram, whether that's TikTok, or whether that's YouTube. Have you zeroed in or focused in on one particular platform, or are you kind of spread all over the place?
I would say I'm spread. The
Okay.
main three that I focused on from the beginning was Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And it's easy nowadays. If I shoot a video on my phone, I can post it on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It's a little different now because we have all these subcategories like reels and all these
Mhm.
other things, right? But I've been pretty consistent because based on my research and looking at engagement rates and the followers that you have, I noticed a lot of people stick to primarily like one, if not maybe two platforms. So there's certain people that I only contact on YouTube. There's certain people that I can only get a hold of on Facebook or Instagram. So to me, it made sense to be on these major platforms because I want to open up myself to the maximum amount of people, and as I keep checking the numbers, I get leads from all over the place, and it's pretty evenly spread. I wouldn't say one is taking the lion's share of the leads or the traffic. It's a mix of all of them.
Okay. Gotcha. One of the things about your content is that it's consistent. Where are you getting this content from?
Yeah. And it's the most important thing. I'm glad you brought it up. Really, this is what I tell people. If you're mindful when you're working, when you're doing your thing, and I always carry something like this with me, man. This has been the key for not only business but my life. I have like a small notepad or something, and I have a pen or a pencil. And if I'm driving and an idea comes up, I'll stop and I'll write it down, right? I'm always paying attention. In the beginning for me, it was, I'm just going to give people snippets of what I'm doing. If I'm on my way to a listing appointment, I'll shoot a video. If I can at or right after the listing appointment, I'll shoot a video. When I'm doing calls, I'll shoot a video. When I'm out door knocking, I'll shoot a video. When I'm out showing a home, I'll shoot a video. Let me show people what I'm doing. Right. So in the beginning, it wasn't me coming up with content. It was literally me filming my day-to-day life, which gets the most views, man. The day in the life, the live calls, all those pieces of content for like an actual business person and realtor, for me, got the most engagement and the most views, right? Versus like teaching. It shifted later when I started growing my team and I amassed the following where I started teaching now. But the two main categories that my content came from that was very easy was either educational for the consumer, right? How to price your home, how to find a realtor, the basic stuff, and also the day-to-day work that I was doing. Now, if we want to create subcategories after that, one of them I would tell people is become the local superstar where you live. Show people what it's like to live in your city. So if I'm in Miami, I would say, top 5 places to visit in Miami. Another thing, what you can buy for under $500,000 here in Miami, right? Top 5 neighborhoods to buy a home in 2022 in Miami, right? I started saying, how can I get some of that traffic that's going on Google and these search engines and filter it to me? Because when you go on Google and you type something or any of these major platforms, what's the first thing that pops up in the results? A video result. It's always at the top or the top 2. So you know that if people are searching that stuff, and again, I'm not tech savvy, dude. I'm not like the one with the spreadsheets and the charts in the background, sitting in a dungeon trying to figure this stuff out. I'm just using my mind and saying, people are going on the internet. I know what they're searching for. Let's start bringing some of that traffic towards me. And in the beginning, man, the first couple of years before I started really teaching, those were the 3 main kind of categories that I was looking at. That if we talk about content creation, I didn't have enough time to create all that content because there was so much. I think what realtors are doing is they're really trying to nitpick or become like a teacher, when really if you just show people what you do and you take little snippets and you're mindful and you schedule, hey, I need to shoot for 20 minutes, you'll have more than enough content to put on all the platforms. It's just a matter of making it a priority and being purposeful with, your day-to-day activities.
Gotcha. Looking at your videos, I always felt like they were polished. And I always wanted to ask you, are you rehearsing or is it just coming off the top of your head? Do we have a teleprompter? Or I guess what's your style?
Great question. As the years went on, because of all the public speaking and the video creation and all the prospecting, I just got comfortable in front of the camera and doing public speaking. I would say the first 2 years, probably I used some sort of note card or some kind of something behind the phone. Because for the first 3 years, I just used my phone. I didn't use any editing software, no microphone, no nothing. But after that, it was just, I literally would edit out me pushing the on button and pushing the off button in the video. There was no cuts, there was no edits, there was no teleprompter, there was no rehearsing. I would just, if anything, maybe would write 3 little lines on a notepad to kind of guide my mind if I got lost or to tell me the main points, but I would just spit off the top of the dome, because after you've done hundreds of speeches, 2,000 videos on YouTube, and all these, live calls and door knocks, shooting a video becomes easy. It's like brushing your teeth. It just takes time. At the same time, though, I was refining my skill set. I was doing things like Toastmasters, where we would, go in person and practice our speeches. I was, doing trainings. I was going live on Instagram and Facebook to work on, being on my toes and being able to respond in the moment and really refine my speech. I was studying other good speakers. If you guys look up on YouTube, you can find a ton of good speakers, right? And you can take little things from them to add to your game. But I just took it seriously, man. I would say that was the difference. Is I said, I want to be a fantastic speaker. And most realtors, especially, that's not on their priority list. It's, hey, I just need to find a home to sell today. When in reality, if you're able to improve your communication skills, getting leads and getting deals becomes much easier, because this is your gateway to a client, is how you speak. And if you're more refined and you're more comfortable and you speak a lot better than the average realtor, you're going to be able to connect with people at a different level, right? But that's so overlooked. And I don't know why. It still is today, because when I ask people, what are you working on, the realtors, I never get told, oh, I'm working on my communication skills. Like I never hear that. I don't know about you, but I never hear it.
No, not at all. Not at all. My mentor at EXP all the time he's saying communication is kind of the biggest thing. And like you just echoed everything that he kind of says. With your YouTube having over 191,000 subscribers, I guess I want to ask you, it's one thing for you to have good videos. You can have somebody who has good videos, but if their SEO isn't correct or kind of channeled in, they can have great videos, but nobody's watching them. How did you make that connection? Because you have to have something going on in the background with all those subs.
I think the main thing that I was able to hit was I always put myself in the shoes of the consumer or the watcher of the video. And I said, if I'm looking for somebody like me or the information that I give, how exactly am I going to type in that search on Google and what am I going to put in? So maybe my description wasn't the best. Maybe my thumbnails weren't the best, but I know my titles, especially on a lot of those videos that have gotten a ton of views, were sharp because a lot of people would message me, how do I get my real estate license? And I would take note. I'm getting all these messages and people are asking me all these questions. How would they type that into the search? So a lot of times I would literally copy the first part of their question and put that as a title on my video. And those are the titles that ended up getting a ton of views and SEO, like you said, because when people would search it, because it was a video and it started getting hits, it would get pushed right to the top. So a lot of that was me kind of before I would, post a video, I would say, okay, this is a great video. What's the perfect title for this? And I would maybe take an extra couple hours or a day to figure out what I thought was that best title for it. And when I did that, they seemed to do the best because everything else I know I didn't do right. I didn't, edit or touch up my videos. I didn't put little writing underneath, right? I didn't have the best thumbnails. In the beginning too, I was so kind of naive to this stuff. I didn't even know you could put tags in YouTube. Like I had no idea, man. I would just post the video and post the title, but I was still getting traction, I think, because of the title, and I focused on that. So I really think people need to focus from that perspective of how is somebody going to look this up? What exactly are they going to type? And if you can get your titles close to that, I think you'll have a really good fighting chance to getting more views,
So no TubeBuddy or no vidIQ or anything like that?
I got those, but
Okay.
my initial growth and the first couple years of laying that foundation and having that explosive growth was long before all that stuff, TubeBuddy and vidIQ. Those are great, and I use them now, of course. But all the growth and explosion that I had was long before any of that stuff. So I'm giving you like the old school first thing that I did when I was new, right? Because I think once you're established, you can kind of break the rules. I can throw up whatever I want. It's still going to get views because I have the following that I have. But when you're new, I think that those little details, like the title, is even more important because if you're going to be a suggested video on YouTube or something like that, you have to know what people are searching. And the people who have that kind of relevant title, or even piggybacking off current events. If Yahoo and Google and CNN create this new thing that says the real estate market's going to crash, and I see that was yesterday, guess what video I'm probably going to make today? Something with that title, because I can get some of that traffic, right? So that's another little hack that people can do once every week or two. Look at what's currently trending in real estate as far as, big headlines and ones that people are freaking out about. I would even pay attention when I was prospecting, what people were bringing up. And then I would look up that article and say, how can I put this as a title to get some traffic? And that always worked. It wouldn't go viral, but it would get me more views than my regular stuff and more eyeballs. And that's what you want.
Okay. When did you make the transition from doing your own shooting, your own camera shooting, to actually having a camera guy, or from when you were doing your own editing to having an editor? When did that transition come in at?
Man, I think I waited too long for that, right? It's one of those things that I did wrong because I would just use my phone. My quality was pretty bad. I would say it was probably around the fifth or sixth year because I was always the type too that as much as I love to show my day to day, I didn't like that having that person next to you 24/7, like vlog type stuff, which is kind of what people were asking for. But I'm like, I'm okay with it, but I don't know if you've experienced this when you go to events and stuff. When there's like a cameraman next to people and you're talking to them, most people aren't comfortable with that. And you're not getting like the real person. You know what I mean? So having that cameraman with you for that reason, I didn't like. But I would shoot my videos and then I would send it to my editor. And that was at the 5th or 6th year mark for me because it got it off, my plate. In the beginning, I kept telling myself I didn't need it because I wouldn't edit my videos. Like I told you, I would shoot it in one shot, clip that first second of me turning on the camera, and then clip the last second of it turning off. But the editor told me, we can throw some buttons in there that say subscribe and make it a little bit better to improve maybe the subscribe rate on your channel, or leading people to the next video and putting these nice little things. So touching it up basically. And I was resistant to it because I like that just raw me speaking in front of the camera type of thing. But that's where people need to have a conversation with themselves, because one thing is just what you prefer. Another thing is marketing correctly and doing things the right way for your platform, right? So you have to find like a healthy balance there. And that's something that I struggle with because I was very stubborn. It was like, no, I want to do it my way and that's it. So it took some time, but I would always recommend to people, get an editor. And if you're having trouble or you don't have the bankroll for it, wherever area that you're in, put out some ads and ask, 18 to 21 or 18 to 24-year-olds, hey, you know what? Let's do an exchange. I'll teach you the ropes in real estate, maybe investing or how to get your license or the business side of it. And in exchange, you edit my videos and shoot some content for me, right? Get like a person who's like looking for an internship. And I've talked to colleges that would legitimately be an internship if you approach it correctly. So I've spoken to colleges. If you want to get a college student that needs an internship, you can do this and they can get legitimate credit for it if you talk to the university, because I did this at 2 universities in LA and both of them said that would be okay. That would be a way for you to exchange teaching for services and you wouldn't have to pay for it, right? So that's what I'd recommend to somebody who is newer, but you absolutely need somebody to do it at the very least to get that off your plate. You don't want to be spending time editing videos. You want to be spending time building your business.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I use WeVideo, which
Okay.
is a online editing software. But like you said, I need to get somebody so they can do it versus me doing it. As far as your lead generation and your prospect, not now because you have a team, but back when you were in the trenches, what would you say the breakup was as far as doing traditional prospecting and doing videos for a YouTube or Instagram to get clients that way?
Yeah. Oh man. For me, maybe it's because of the way that I was trained. I was just very old school and nitty gritty. I always looked at social media and what I was generating in regards to referrals and clients. I looked at that as a bonus, but my job was always to get on the doors and make calls. If you do it right, you can get, a good amount of clients, I think. It's just the way that I was trained, man. Telling my coach, hey, I'm doing videos, they would say, okay, take that nonsense out of here. You know what I mean? It was very like Mike Ferry, like, hey, you got to make X amount of calls. So for me, it was probably 80-90% traditional, 10-20% focusing on the video. And it was just seen as a cherry on top. But as I started measuring it, right, these are some tips I can give people. Your agent to agent referral base can be very good, right? Every year between referrals that we receive and referrals that I'm getting paid on that I send out, that's a business in itself, right? I just wasn't really paying attention to it because my coaches had me so focused on prospecting. But that's what you want, right? You will get clients, sure, but the agent to agent referral base is huge. So as you guys are connecting with people online, create a list. I created a separate database of these agents that I was connecting with online or that were messaging me. And I would send them emails too, and we would stay in touch. And they knew, hey, if somebody's coming to LA, we're sending it to Brian. And I got a ton of referrals and I sent out a ton of referrals. So in itself, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head to give you. It's very lucrative in addition to your prospecting efforts, because in my mind, the prospecting built the consistency. It gave me a pipeline and it built my skills, in particular communication skills. Then on the social media stuff, once that started shifting and I started getting a lot more business from it, it made it that much easier because I've already serviced a lot of clients. I know the flow. I know how referrals work. And now working these clients is a lot easier versus me having to track down an expired and compete with 4 other agents to get,
Right. So now that you've seen both sides, I guess, what are you teaching the new folks on your team now?
We always start them, prospecting, but we have them focusing on building the social media as well. So I attack them on both fronts and I say, hey, learn the old school stuff, and get it good. And also be working on your social media, because very quickly, some of the new people that we have, they start doing business like very, very well right away. We have new agents closing 12, 15, 20 deals their first year on the team, some upwards of 30 or 40, which I think is fantastic. Some of it's coming from social media, some of it's coming from the traditional stuff. And I'm helping them transition. So within, the first couple of years, they don't have to be banging the phones and banging the doors all day. They can be working their referrals, their database, using their social media. Because the beauty of it is I've told them from a social media standpoint, you can tap into my network and what I've built. You don't have to build it from scratch like I did, grassroots. You can already tap into my network. So if you get a listing and we promote it on my network, you're getting in front of hundreds of thousands of eyeballs that you otherwise wouldn't have, right? And that's a unique selling proposition for them getting in front of a client too. So more than anything now, one of the biggest transitions I've seen is the public and customers are serious about social media now. When I started talking about social media years ago, they'd laugh at me. They're like, what are you talking about? Some little kid stuff. Now, sometimes they ask, what's your presence on social media? What do you guys do? So now I just crack a smile because I'm like, okay, we got you, right? Like we have one of the biggest social medias out there. So this is fantastic. That's cool. So for my agents, I say, you have something I wish I had when I started. You have that poster behind you of, we have that big trophy. We have that Hall of Fame social media, presence. Can't find that somewhere else. So I'm using it with them to leverage, right? And get them to get out of that, in quotes, rat race that I was in for so many years quicker and build a solid foundation for their business. So it's amazing, man.
Great, man. Now you moved from LA to Florida,
Yeah.
Miami. So I guess how was that? Have you changed your content any because you switched markets, or have you kind of kept it constant?
I mean, I wouldn't say I really have changed it. I've expanded now, and I have like a podcast channel now too. I have my channel that I'm building in Spanish as well. So, I mean, I'm expanding, but that's more just my own personal thing. In regards to any real estate type content that I would create, it stayed virtually the same. The only difference is now maybe I can make comparison videos, day to day, maybe about the market a little bit, but overall it stayed the same because you brought it up earlier. At the end of the day, it's consistency, right? I think that's the biggest staple for my growth. And to this day, still continuing to get out there and continue expanding and build the brand. Because even here, I was surprised. Almost every day I'm out. Oh, hey man, I follow your YouTube, bro. Oh, hey, what's up, Brian? And even I'm like, how the hell do you know me? Like I've never lived in Miami, but like literally almost on a daily basis at the beach, at the supermarket, people are stopping me. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But that shows the impact of this stuff. Like it really is a lot bigger and more impactful than people think. It's not just about having 10 million followers or 500,000 on Instagram. Even if you have a smaller following, because in the grand scheme of things, I consider my stuff smaller. Like I'm not a huge influencer, but it still creates that impact, in particular if your content is done a particular way, right? People can connect with that. And that's the most important thing. So now when you show up, if people already know who you are, you've already conquered 90% of the battle. Trust is established, rapport is established, and they're not looking at you like, who's this guy? It's, oh, Brian actually took the time to come over today to discuss, selling our home. Or for my team members, oh, you work with Team BC, you're with Brian. Oh, it's like they roll out the red carpet for you. It's pretty cool. But overall, I would say it stayed the same.
That's funny because you're saying on a daily basis, you're recognized. There was one person that seen me one time. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to start doing autographs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
let's jump into Instagram. And the reason why, because personally, I do struggle as far as my Instagram and as far as my followers on Instagram. I can't seem to kind of crack the code as
Mm,
far as to gain a large follower. I think I started out on the wrong foot because I
mm,
started out following a bunch of people. And
mm,
when I was following a bunch of people, then I had a bunch of people I was following, but people who were following me was minuscule.
mm.
So I've been trying to kind of write that for the longest. But I guess what's your secret when it comes to Instagram that got you close to 42 or over 42,000 followers?
Man, there's a lot we can talk about this subject. One, I was never afraid to incorporate my other interests and things into
Okay.
my Instagram and my social media, which I think a lot of people, in particular in real estate, struggled with because they have this like thought like people can only see me as the in suit at a house professional. People know you for that, but if someone's going to follow you on social media, the key word here, and I know I do this, whether people like it or not, is a different story and subject, but I entertain. You have to entertain people. Like if you don't like your shirt, man, fantastic. right? I would do the show with you just because of the shirt. But I know people who will get on you and be like, "Oh, this is a podcast. He can't wear that shirt," right? But I like that discussion because that's engagement, right? That gets people talking about something that keeps people around. It keeps the energy going. That's what you need on social media. So when I'm doing real estate stuff and then in my next post, I'm pulling up and like the Lamborghini that I bought, and at a car show, people are like, "Oh man, this guy's into cars. That's cool." Right? Or now I just bought a boat slip and I'm getting a boat. So I'm going to be out on the water now. That's going to be a new thing, right? My other interests and things that I'm doing, what you're doing with that in particular when you put it out is you're attracting and opening up new gateways to different people. And that's what I want, right? So me doing that and then take it to the next level, which is something you can do in those spaces like cars. I was collabing with those people, right? One of the first huge spikes I saw in my growth in YouTube was when I started collabing with bigger car guys on YouTube, just because of my interest. It wasn't to grow my social media. It was specifically because I was interested in it. And I would tell them, "Hey, can we hang out? Can we shoot a video? Right? You like XYZ car? I happen to have it. You want to collab?" And they're like, "Yeah." Then we'll do a video. They post it on their channel. Guess what? I get some of the followers and vice versa. Another thing I did that's huge, I think that a lot of people sleep on, is going live with people on Instagram, right? Like if we did this live on your Instagram, you would get your followers and then my followers would come to your page and watch it too. So you would have a surge in viewership. Guess what? Some of those people are going to follow you, right? Now you're going to start popping up on their feed. So it's almost like you have to create this vortex to bring people to you. I did it through hobbies. I did it through going live. And now, because new things are coming out, like the reel right now on Instagram is still giving a lot of views. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't get a lot of engagement on my regular stuff, if I do a reel, I'm guaranteed way more engagement because that's the thing that Instagram is pushing. So whenever these platforms release new things, those are the things you need to get on. Like when reels first came out on Instagram, I could do the dumbest video and it would get 20, 30, 40,000 views on reels because it was new and that's what they're pushing. They want to get it out to people. So I would say those are probably three of the biggest things in regards to doing that is go with what's good, right? Go live and collab with people live, and then start putting some of the other stuff that you're interested in or things about you in your personal life that you enjoy. And you'll start getting people. Because I notice if someone's going to follow me, they're only going to keep following me and pay attention if I'm showing them who I am. If I keep posting, like let's say the first thing that you put on Facebook, "Hey, I sold my first house." I'm sure it got a ton of engagement. "Oh, congratulations, man. That's awesome." By the third one, people are like, "Boo, post something else." Right? So you got to mix things up, man. And I think my, I don't know, lack of, we can say, hesitancy to do that is what led to me growing. Now, some people didn't like it. Some people do. But that's that buzz and energy that you need to keep people there. Like I just posted a nasty email that I got from somebody.
I've seen that.
And it has more engagement than anything else. And I would tell people, see, people love drama. I get emails like that all the time, but I post it every once in a while just to prove a point. People are eating it up. And it's the dumbest thing. But it's like, yo, I post a video to teach you how to be a millionaire. It gets 5 views. I post some stupid email and it gets 5,000 comments and, 10 million likes. But again, that's the balance that you play between what I want to portray versus, hey, I need to learn the rules of the game. What gets engagement? And drama gets engagement. Now, my thing is how can I maybe use it to prove a point, teach a lesson, or use it constructively in my growth? That's where this game is. It's a balance of what you want to do versus understanding the rules to the game. And I think that's where I've been able to blend to help me grow and stand out.
Gotcha, man. Have you thought about conversion at all? And the reason I'm saying it like that is because even with the engagement, you can have a lot of engagement, you can have a lot of exposure, but we're not doing this to win a Grammy. We're doing this to convert people. Have you, I guess, what type of techniques and strategies have you used as far as on the conversion realm?
Yeah. So we'll have two fronts there. We have my own personal stuff and personal brand, and then we have the real estate brand. So I think a lot of that has to do with your messaging, your targeting, your call to action, and specifically what you're posting and when that leads to that. So as an example, I know that if on my Instagram and on my Facebook and on my YouTube, everything is targeted to try to convert people, it's not going to do that good, right? I think an old expression, even though I never read the book, somebody would say something that Gary Vee said, jab, jab, hook, or something like that, right? I never read it, but I understood the concept that you give free content, you help, and then boom, then you have an offer or something to pull people in. That I think is more of a matter of strategy, because if I do put in an ad to hire people for my team, or I do a specific post to funnel people into my coaching or my courses, or I do another specific post for my downline and EXP, or I do one for people who are interested in a particular loan type on my Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. When I look at that and I look at the amount of inquiries coming in, it's fantastic, right? Whether that be Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, right? So you can look at those metrics. I just think that individuals, when they're on social media with those particular things, need to be purposeful, right? So it's a matter of blending. I have my personal post, I have a real estate post, and then boom, I have a targeted post, right? And if you're strategic in that sense and you put it together well, I think it can be very effective, because you're absolutely right. You want to convert. You want to convert. At the same time, though, not every post and everything about you is going to be converting 24/7, you know? So if you're going to run an ad, as an example, I might run an ad to that particular targeted post that I want to make to get some leads or do what it is. So it just, you have to have a strategy, right? You can't just be throwing stuff on the wall and expecting something to stick. You have to be purposeful with what you're going to do. So we'll even sit down, especially for like our team Instagram and team YouTube, and we'll come up with stuff. Hey, you know, this week, this is what we're going to do. And we've hired somebody to help us with that, to schedule that stuff out and be very targeted with particular posts that we do to lead to higher conversion rates.
And that actually was going to be my next question, is if you got to the point where you're hiring somebody to just handle your social media management just in general.
Yeah, overall, yes. However, my personal account, I don't know if I'll ever do that. Maybe I will at some point. But for now, I'm still managing my personal account. But most of the other ones that we have for the team, yeah, we've hired that out, because it would just be too much, you know.
Right.
It would just be way too much, especially when we start getting into the numbers and the techie stuff. You know, it's just I can't even handle it, nor am I interested in that. So I'll definitely hire that out.
All right, cool, man. Well, listen, man, in closing, I always want to leave the realtors with some type of action that they can do, some type of play where they can just jump off this and go to TikTok or go to YouTube or go to Instagram or Facebook and kind of do 1, 2, 3 and see some type of change in their social media game, man. What can you leave the realtors with as far as some type of social media play?
Man, one thing that I think a lot of people have slept on that you can do, and this may not be a quick thing they can do, but it's a strategy that I recommend people do, and I've been recommending it. It's just very few people have done it. If you're listening to this, wherever you're at locally, right, especially for your social media, the last couple of years, right, small businesses in particular have been getting hit. Now, this ties into a strategy that I've been doing for a long time, but now especially it's going to be more effective. For your social media, especially to grow professionally, what you need to start doing, and this is something I did here and I did back in LA, create, right, connections with local businesses and start featuring them on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your YouTube. So this serves two purposes. One, I can create content by interviewing and featuring local small businesses in my area to build my reputation. You can also take these videos and interviews that you do and repurpose them and also send them to your database, right? But it's something that I was doing once a week or every other week, where I started with businesses that I knew. I'd go to my barber, my CPA, right, a restaurant that I love, and I started introducing myself that way and creating a connection with them, because the average realtor will never do that. They'll just give their business cards to a local business, or you know, they might say hi to them, but they'll never feature their business. Now you can go whichever way you want with this. I would live on Facebook interview my chiropractor, my acupuncturist, right, to offer their services to people, but also to build my brand. Because when you do this at the local level, you start building a reputation, right? And you can repurpose this content on any platform. You can do it live, you can record it, and it's simple. All you do is go into these businesses and say, would you like some free marketing for your business? Who's going to tell you no? Sit down with them, do a quick interview, right? Don't worry about the details, and then post it. And what I do is I say, look, before we post a video, I want to show you the final product for you to give me a thumbs up. And they're going to say, of course. So what do I do then? I get their info, their cell phone, their email, all their information. And now I have it on my schedule. Like one of my agents in Vegas, she's creating an actual event for small businesses, right?
Wow.
And leading up to the event, every week she's doing 2 to 3 interviews of all these businesses. And before we know it, this event's going to have 50 or 60 small businesses that we're going to hold in Vegas, right? But social media content galore for all of our platforms. So it's a good way to build content, build your reputation, but also get contacts in and build some relationships and friendships with some people who are, business owners. And that's what you want.
Way to close it, man. That was a strong nugget. So all y'all realtors out there who's struggling for content, oh, I can't find anything. He just gave you a system, a technique where you can go out there and whether once a week or twice a week, just go to businesses. And another thing on that also, just to add on to that, is what you can do is you can leave them a review on Google.
Yep.
And if you leave them a review on Google, when people go, for example, Jim Steaks in Philadelphia, if you go to Jim Steaks and people are looking in Jim Steaks for something to do and they see that you're a realtor and they're looking to move here, then they can see you there also. So it's kind of like you're taking advantage of that one trip to Jim Steaks as far as interviewing him, marking that you were there, taking that, I think you said this, as far as sending it out to your database.
Yep.
And then also putting a Google review, meaning a timestamp on the internet that you have been there. And as somebody's looking to go there, they can do it. So that's awesome, man. So I do want to let you guys know that Bryan does have a coaching and mentorship program. He also has a plethora of programs as far as door knocking, listing presentations, objection handlings, sales technician, social media transition. So he just has a plethora of content out there and programs for you guys to use. So everything, all of his links are going to be in the bio. But if you just want to tell them as far as what your website is.
Just like you see my name, bryancasella.com. That will give you access to everything that I have right there.
Okay. And hopefully at some point in time, we're working it out so we can try to get you guys some type of discount. So we'll have some type of social agent code at some point in time. But for right now, if you do want to get access to all of his information, just go to hisname.com. So, all right, y'all. Well, we will see you guys next week on a Social Media for Real Estate Agents podcast. And Bryan, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.